Carson Palmer of the Arizona Cardinals here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you been, Carson?
Rich, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing better for you calling in. What do you think, first blush of the news out of the NFL league meeting, that overtime is now going to be 5 fewer minutes? What do you think of that idea?
I like it. I didn't know that. That's the first I've heard of it.
Okay, I'm breaking news.
But I like it. It makes sense. I've been in some long overtime games, and it's a long season. There's a lot of plays in each game. If you can shorten those up and get a win out of it, without having to play so many plays, get you ready to play next week and recover. I like it. I'm a fan of it.
Well, the idea of it is that, yes, it is born out of player safety, and just hearing what a lot of fans are thinking about it. Even Josh Norman of the Redskins said yesterday that it appears to be a drop in the bucket, though, when it comes to keeping players fresh. You would say opposite. First blush.
Well, the less plays you play, the fresher you are. The less plays you play, the less opportunities you have to get an injury. The quicker your body recovers for the next week. So, I'm sure these young 22, 23-year-old guys that come in the league could care less. But being a more experienced player in this league with more years, I like trying to stay as fresh as possible and limit as much as you can the injury possibilities and get ready to recover for your next game.
Well, I like how you use the word experienced, not old, Carson.
Not old.
I like that.
That's not the right word.
No, you are more experienced. And in that regard, I read an interesting piece in the New York Times about what your off-season throwing program looks like this year with you and Coach Ahrens. You're going to throw less this year to keep fresher? Is that true?
I've been throwing less. Yeah, I've been throwing less. Really haven't thrown more than 200 or 300 balls so far. Normally it's in the thousands by now. By May, I've cut back on a ton of throws, just trying to save the good ones I have left and hold on to as many of them as I can and not waste them in April and May.
So, what would be the theory behind having as many throws as you used to have? Why would that be helpful, or at least that would be more the norm for a lot of players around the NFL, a lot of quarterbacks around the NFL?
Yeah, I was just first 14 years of my career, I was just a repetition hog, and I wanted to get every rep, I wanted to get every throw, and at some point, you only get so many throws in your arm. You only get so many golf swings. You only get so many sprints, whatever sport it may be. So being a thrower, I've thrown, probably close to, hundreds of thousands of balls. And, it's more mental right now, and I still work my arm out in every possible way without throwing. All the shoulder stabilization, all the the quickness, the speed, and all the things you do to upkeep your arm in the off season. I've just cut out a majority of the throws up until this point.
And in terms of the other piece of news that might be coming out of the owners' meeting is a relaxing of the celebration rules, that the going down to the ground and returning the rules to allowing the use of the ball as a prop. What are your thoughts on that, Carson Palmer?
I like it. I like it just because I'm so tired of everybody complaining about it. So hopefully now guys will stop complaining about it, and the celebration part of the game is fun. That's especially these young guys coming in. That's part of the excitement of getting to the NFL is except for last year, the years prior, guys were excited to be able to spike a football and dance and do all these fun things that they've been held back from doing for so long. Because there was such a negative, thought about a player that celebrates, and players in the NFL have been dancing and spiking the football and dunking footballs and all that kind of stuff for so long that guys got excited about getting here. Then all of a sudden it disappeared. So now it's back. I'm excited. We don't have a ton of guys that are big celebration guys, but it brings some excitement to the game. I think the fans like it, and that's what's important. So
are you saying that should you get in the end zone, you will not have a Carson Palmer celebration already teed up? Is that what you're saying?
Don't. I just might. I've been known to cut a rug, and I don't look like it, but I have a little bit of the rhythm. And now that I'm allowed to dance again, I might have something for you, Rich.
Okay, let's try and cook something up.
Hold the phone.
Well, that could be the name of the dance. Hold the phone.
Yeah, I like it. Why don't you take a video and text message it to me so I can watch it and practice it, and I'll get it ready for the opener.
Okay. So now that would have you. By the way, are you aware of how many career touchdowns you have owned right now?
No, but it can't be very many.
Well, give me a Just give me a Carson Palmer stab at the number of career touchdowns you have.
It's single digit. It's got to be single digit.
Okay, you're getting warm.
Will you count Pop Warner and high school?
No, I'm just you. Well,
just
I mean,
NFL, just NFL.
I'm just looking at your pro football numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's if the over/under was 8, I would take the under.
Or you'd push.
Oh, nailed it.
You nailed it right on the head. It's 8.
I actually have a stat guy here, just like you do.
How old is your stat guy? Is your stat guy wearing diapers or what?
How old are you? Mark Dalton is 47.
Oh.
Mark Dalton.
Mark Dalton, one of the best PR men in the National Football League.
Not one of the best.
Okay, the best. Pardon me. Carson Palmer joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, in all seriousness, though, the conversation that's been had, born out of Tom Brady's wife going on the CBS morning show and saying that Tom had a concussion last year and it wasn't diagnosed. You did. You were in the concussion protocol. Would you ever remove yourself from a game if you had something that seemed like it and nobody buzzed down, nobody noticed it, but you noticed it? Would you take yourself out, Carson?
I think so. I've been very fortunate. I've had one real one major one, and that was last off season, and I didn't know which way was up and which way was down, so there really was an opportunity for me to go back in the game. And our from Tom Reed to everybody on our sideline, they're so on top of it each game. I mean, I get sick of it during games. Sometimes, all of a sudden a guy will come up behind me and say, "Hey, you're all right, you're right, you're right." I saw you get hit. And they're just doing their job, and you have to accept that. But our guys are so on top of it that I don't think I would have that opportunity to put myself back in the game because they do such a good job of noticing it and staying on top of it. But I've been fortunate, like I said, to not have very many instances where I would put myself back in or think about, am I okay? Do I have a concussion? The one I've had, it was the game was over. It was 9-9 for me. So. I can't really put myself in those shoes just because I feel like we're so on top of it and we're so protected and there's so many doctors now and so many neurologists and experts and all these people that stay on top of it and handle that for us.
Well, when you came off the campus at USC to now, how has it changed the conversation amongst players about concussions? Are there more conversations about it? Is there because the reason why I ask again is that this whole issue with Brady is being brought up is that players still would not report whether they have a concussion or not, and that there's a concern about it, and that even though there's more information, it still hasn't, if you will, figuratively sunk in. Carson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for every player and every team maybe. I don't feel like in my tenure in the league, I don't feel like there's more discussion or less discussion about it within players, within the locker room. There's definitely tremendously more discussion outside doing interviews when it's when the media's in our locker room and as you said the different topics that have come up recently. But as far as players are concerned, you talk about it and it's part of the game and it's been part of the game for all of us for as long as we've worn a helmet and played football. But I don't think the discussions have picked up in any way. There's always going to be guys that they might have a fracture in a bone in their wrist, or they might have sprained an MCL. And obviously those aren't dealing with your head, but this game is played with injuries and pains and aches. And unfortunately, sometimes with concussions that guys may know about and may not know about, sometimes you're just not sure. You're so focused on what's going on. But I just don't think, I don't feel like I hear more discussion within our locker room between actual players any more than I did 10, 15 years ago.
Well, how about you with your wife and your family as you're now more experienced, to use your phrase, in your career when you might be on a year-to-year plan? Are you talking about it more personally?
Well, my wife talks about it all the time. She unfortunately witnessed, she was down in the locker room with me and I just was completely out of it. When I was going through all the protocol and meeting with the doctors after the game, I had it in. And it's just scary. I don't, as a player, and when it happens, you don't remember for the most part. You have no idea. I don't recall from 2:30 on that afternoon. But your family members and your wife and your kids experience it, and they're right there, and it's scary. It's especially for young kids that haven't seen something like that. it's scary, and it's something that our wives and our moms and our families and people around us on the outside, I'm sure, worry a lot more than we actually do as players.
Last couple minutes left with Carson Palmer here. Larry Fitzgerald saying he's going to one time talk about his future in training camp. Can you perhaps give a little hint to the show listeners and viewers what he might be saying once training camp hits, Carson?
I'm hanging on the edge of my seat just like you are, Rich.
Really?
I don't know. I'm not asking him. I'm not bugging him about it. I think that answer came from being bugged about that question over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't have any hints. I'm not sure. I'm just happy he's back this year.
All right, and how's David Johnson doing? How's he doing?
He's awesome. He's awesome. He might have an even better year this year in every way. I mean, he's such a special player and a special individual, and everything you could ask for in a teammate. And really excited for him. I think like I said, it's going to be tough to eclipse what he did last year. If anybody can do it on this planet, it's him.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty scary. So basically what you're saying to me is draft him first in my fantasy league if I get it, opportunity, and you don't know about Larry, and you will perform the hold the phone celebration dance with now props being allowed in the NFL. Again, you will do that for this show's listenership and viewership. Carson Palmer.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's going to be really good. You just forgot to add that. It's going to be really, really good.
10 out of 10. You're going to get the gold ticket out of that.
Double thumbs up.
Okay. Carson, take care, man. Good chatting.
Rich, good to talk to you, man. Thanks for having me.
Always. That's Carson Palmer.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to move Week 6 games to Saturday for that wedding you have to go to.